Hello everybody and welcome to another video. As you can see, I'm with my Bolt EV. So today marks a special occasion. This car is officially 1 year old. So as many of you know the history behind this car, I received it officially the day before Thanksgiving, but as far as manufacture date goes, today's it. So this car, I got this car when it had 3 miles on it, and this car is by far the best car that I've owned in terms of every single other vehicle. This is my first EV experience, and the last year has been, for me personally, a blessing. And in this video, I'm going to take a minute here. I'm going to tell you my likes, my gripes, and my overall experience as a first-time EV owner with this vehicle. So let's get inside and we'll talk about it. Now, I didn't bring my fob out here. I'm in my fob's in my office. So I opened the door through the My Chevrolet app, and I'm gonna leave it open because otherwise the car locks itself and then weirdness happens with the alarm. So for those who have not been a regular follower of the channel and have not been following the videos that I've shot about this car and about everything that we've kind of experienced together, you know, from the recall and everything else, you know, I will start from the beginning. I purchased this car on November 18th, 2020 in Valencia, California at AutoNation Chevrolet. And I honestly have no idea what the sticker price was. Oh, but wait, I keep everything. So let's see if the sticker is still in here. Wouldn't that be interesting if it was still in here? Give me a sec. Oh, I don't believe it. I have it. Give me a sec. Let me get all the garbage that's stuck off. All right, here we are. So let me see how I can do this. So here's the window sticker for the car. I typically keep stuff like this because I am totally awesome like that. So the vehicle sticker price was $44,025, and that's obviously not, you know, it doesn't take into account all the rebates and stuff. I remember there was a Costco rebate, there was a dealer rebate, there was a GM rebate, there was, I think, a few other rebates that brought the car's cost down probably about $12,000, I think, or $12,500 if I remember correctly. And what's amazing about it was that the rebates covered my trade-in, which I was severely upside down in. I had a 2014 Volkswagen Jetta TDI, the diesel model, that I traded in for this, and the rebates essentially paid that car off. So I ended up paying $44,025 for this car. And this car is fully spec'd. Exterior mosaic black metallic, interior dark galvanized gray, and this is the 2020 Bolt EV Premier. So I'm going to set this over here. First things first, I already mentioned it. This car is my favorite car out of all the cars that I've had. And it's the first car that I've ever owned that I didn't get the impression that I needed to get a different car. You know, I don't know why in the past, every time I bought a car, a week or so later, I felt like, man, I really don't like this, I really don't like that. God, I should just get rid of this car. And I got to the point where I was forking over money left and right for cars, and I was just not happy with any of them. And a lot of it, I think, stems from the fact that I drive a ridiculous amount. Obviously, with COVID, I put 12,000 miles on this car in a year. which for me is unusual. That's typically a quarter's worth of driving when I'm on site all the time. But I think the pandemic, gave us a new outlook on the way we do our jobs, and it made for a much better experience supporting clients from afar, and it saved a lot of time, money, gas, whatever, or in my case, electricity here. But I think this car has helped calm my anxiety when it comes to the fact that I'm not pulling into a gas station every 2 days. When I was driving a gasoline-powered car like the RAV4 that I had before the diesel Jetta, I had a 2017. No, I'm sorry, I had a 2000, also 14, I think it was, Toyota RAV4, that I was in the gas station every 3 to 4 days, and that was just bad. It was essentially like hundreds of dollars every week that I was pouring into the gas stations, and I wasn't happy about that. But I had no way to get around that, and I had to figure out what I could do to make the experience just a little bit better for myself, my family, etc., etc. For those who've watched, my wife has a blue RAV4, it's 2017 model, and we got those the same day. The RAV4 that I got rid of after a year, got the TDI, and then I had the TDI for 18 months, and then I traded that in for this. Now, history aside, let me tell you what I like about this car. First of all, I am 6'5" without shoes on. So with shoes on, I'm probably about 6'6", 6'7". And right now I'm slouching because my feet are out the door. I'm just kind of sitting in a chair casually here. But if I suck myself into the seat and get comfortable, look at how much headroom there is. Like, my hand's pretty big too. That right there is an octave on the piano. I do play piano, so that right there, muscle memory, octave. So I can probably put a fifth interval between my head and the ceiling. Absolute best. If I hit a bump, I'm not slamming into the roof anymore, which I ended up having cars that had sunroofs because I needed that extra 2 inches where the sunroof was, and I never closed the sunshade, and that of course brought heat into the car and brought a whole nother set of issues. But my feet, I'm hugging the brake right now, so if you look down there, my feet are pretty much behind the brake, and I'm pointing my toes, and I can barely touch the firewall. So I don't know if you can see that. Maybe that's a little bit better. So there's a ton of space in this car. Oh, and by the way, the seat's not all the way back. If I had to guess, I would say it's 2/3 of the way back, and I kind of have it in a gently reclined position to where my body is kind of in line with this this C pillar here. I guess A pillar, B pillar, C pillar, and it's kind of like it allows me to hug the car. Sometimes I slouch when I'm driving, and I'm able to put some weight here, and not really weight, but just my mass, and this kind of works out. Let me get back into my slouchy position because I like that better. So obviously the room in this car is phenomenal. I have fit 5 people in here without trouble, and actually I do feel the need to throw a disclaimer in there. The 5th person was a 60-pound 8-year-old that sat in between my in-laws. Like when they were here, when we drove somewhere, my in-laws would be, my wife and my mother-in-law and my son would sit in the back. My father-in-law and I would sit here in the front, and we had all the room in the world. And it was a great car. It is a great car for families, for travel, for long distance, short distance, whatever. I feel personally like I finally found a vehicle a vehicle platform that I can get behind professionally and personally. Now, what does that mean? So I use this car for both business and personal use. So my company essentially pays me to drive the car, and the fees include, registration, licensing, and all that, title, blah, blah, blah. And also, I have a custom license plate on the car, so my business pays for that. I pay for the monthly financing for this car. And it's a great arrangement because then I don't need two cars. I don't need to maintain a massive fleet between business and personal. And this car actually checks all the boxes. So there were times when I had to drive this car 300 miles a day. Now, for those who don't know, and I'll bring back this sticker here, the EPA rating for this car is 118 miles per gallon equivalent. So it kind of translates to how much money it costs to fill up a gasoline car versus the economy of an all-electric car. They're saying here that the total fuel cost for this vehicle is $550. Now, obviously, this car doesn't take fuel, so you convert that to kilowatt hours, and that's your cost. But I've paid a fraction of that in a year, and I'll explain that in a second here. Obviously, greenhouse and fuel economy greenhouse ratings and smog ratings are 10 out of 10. There you go, you can see that there. So it's, there's obviously a lot of stuff, and I'll show you guys the features of this car because, I'm a very transparent person. I have nothing to hide, but yeah. So, like I said, business, personal. I've taken this car into the mountains. I've taken this car into places off-road where I needed to do some work. I've also taken it into Vasquez Rocks. For those who don't know anything about Los Angeles, there's a place in Santa Clarita called Vasquez Rocks. And I wish I had a picture to hold up on my iPad because I will show you a scene from Star Trek that was shot there. If you're a Star Trekker and you see the diagonal strata of the rocks, that's Vasquez Rocks. I've taken this car there and driven it into those places. We've gone hiking, we've taken a dog, we put a dog in the trunk, and we just go, and it's a great experience. But so this car has been in places that most EVs will never get to go, and I don't baby it by any chance. I have a super lead foot. This car is always in sport mode. This car is always full throttle when we take off the lines, especially when the ground is wet. In a safe manner, though. I do take care of this car to the point where I wash it regularly so the paint looks nice. I haven't really cleaned the interior lately, but I do take a brush to it every once in a while, a vacuum to it. I do have a monthly membership to a Shell gas station car wash that ultimately allows me to wash the car every day if I had to. So if I do take the car into, Vasquez Rocks or someplace where it's super dirty, I can wash it off the same day or the next day without having to pay any extra for the monthly plan. But all that said, let's get to what I like about this car. So I already talked about the roominess of this car, the seat, and how much how much room there is behind the seat in this position. So actually, with the seat being back as far as it is, I'll actually take you into the back because this is the first car that I have been able to actually, let me move some of my kids' stuff here. This is the first car that I've ever been able to slide into the back seat. And I'm in the back seat. Here's the front seat. This is the first car I've ever been able to do this, where I have a ton of headroom still, and my legs are straddling the front chair here, you can see. And I don't feel like a sardine in a can, And I remember sitting in this back seat. My son typically sits right here with his headrest and everything else. And I remember he had a bad day in school one day, a couple months ago, and I was sitting in the front seat. I had just picked him up. He got into the car. He didn't say anything. And typically he's a little bubbly. Sometimes he earns a reward or something. You know, he's in 3rd grade, so they're still doing rewards. I was sitting up here. We drove off from the school property, and somewhere about a mile or so down the road, I looked in the rearview mirror, and he was literally just looking out the window like, you know, he had that face, like. And I stopped the car. I pulled over. There was some dirt, like a driveway or something, and I pulled in there. I literally got out of the car, sat down in his seat, and we talked it out. Dude to dude, excuse me. And he was happy that I was sitting here with him, and I was just thrilled, super thrilled that I fit in this car without, you know, banging my head or feeling the need to move the seat all the way forward or not being able to close the door or what have you. So there's obviously a lot to be said for a giant like me to sit in this car, you know, in the back seat of this car. It takes some effort to get out, but like I said, I'm not the smallest guy in the world. And I wanted to make sure that door was closed. I didn't think it was closed, but anyway. So I also love the fact that this is a hatch. So my previous sedans, you know, like that, had a trunk that didn't have easy entry into the inside, which I found out during a road trip that we took up to Mammoth Lakes, California, that not being able to get into the trunk of the car while the car's in motion is actually a detriment to the trip. And I'll tell you why. Because we had coolers back here, we had luggage, coolers. This trunk's not huge, but you know, these seats do fold down and you can fit a bed in here if you fold it down. There are some videos on YouTube of other Bolt EV owners taking their Bolt camping and literally sleeping in the car with their bags and everything. And it's actually interesting to see, because you'd never think that from A, an EV, and B, a hatchback. So, but what I liked about this is we were able to put, you know, all of our bags and coolers and stuff back here. For the trip, for that trip, we had our dog in the seat I was just sitting in a minute ago. So she had her bed up there, a little bit more space, and she was with the family. She could look around and she would see us. Back here, she typically rides here when we go to a park, or I take her to pick up Eddie from school. You know, she'll be back here on this blanket. I'll roll this out, and she's good to go. You know, short distance trips, there's no problem. But longer stuff, multi-hour drives, I put her in the front, and she has her bed and everything, and it works out great. I lay down some boxes or things on the floor so that way her bed can extend past the bench, and it works out really great. But the fact that you can reach into the back, like while we're driving, I was able to ask my kid to reach back here, get something, whether it was fruit, a drink or something, and he was able to hand it to me while I was driving. We didn't have to pull over, we didn't have to stop, and it actually worked out really great. So bonus points to that. What else do I like about this car? It moves fast. So this car is probably the 3rd fastest car I've owned. Now, I had a Lexus, I had an IS 300 that had some modifications done to the engine before I got it, and that car moved. It was also rear-wheel drive, and it's not practical to compare that car to this car. And then the diesel Jetta that I had was front-wheel drive, but that was diesel, so also can't compare that, but that was a fast car. You get a manual TDI. Once that turbo kicks in, the car's moving, and there's no ands, ifs, or buts. If there's something in front of you, you're going to run it over. This car is the 3rd fastest car. Instant torque. It maintains the torque. It goes. I had an issue where an accident happened very close to me on the freeway, and I was able to not just jerk the wheel, but I was able to floor it and get out of the way of the cars that were spinning and sliding around on the road. And I believe just that on its own saved the car from getting destroyed. You know, I thought I was going to roll the car, but it slid a little bit, but it was able to get out of its own way. So I'm thrilled about that. Let's touch on some things that I don't like, because I'm actually looking at one right now. And this would mainly affect people that are probably around the 6-foot height mark, but I'll show you what I'm talking about. This whole thing right here. This is dangerous, actually, in some ways. And what do I mean by that? I think I just dropped something. What do I mean by this being dangerous? Well, you can see where my head is, so I don't have a problem with it. But if you're shorter, like say you were here, you can easily take your scalp out with this, you know, triangle point that they put as part of the taillight assembly. So if you're not paying attention, you can easily slam yourself into it and have problems. So that's one thing I don't like. And I think that's pretty much it on the outside of things that I don't like. One of the things that I did get as far as an option goes is blacked out bow ties on both the front. There's my custom license plate, which I just renewed the sticker for that. If you don't know, EVs in California for the registration are very expensive. This one cost me almost $700. There's a video in the playlist, so go check that out. You know, I like the blue logos on the car. I like the other one too. One of the other things I like about this car is I like the fact that this car has HID headlights, the high intensity discharge bulbs, which are not LED, but they effectively are very energy efficient once the bulbs are hot. They drop down to a very low draw because the gas is already excited, and it doesn't take a lot of current to run them. And also the ballasts help increase the charge to the bulbs. So I like that. I feel like LEDs would become inefficient after some time. Also, their lifespan tends to be a little bit lower if they're overdriven. So that's, of course, that's my opinion, but it is what it is. The tires I am not quite a fan of because, well, I don't even know where to go with them, to be honest, because I keep having to rotate them because I slide a lot, you know, and it has nothing to do with my driving really per se. It just has to do with the amount of sheer torque that this car has, and these tires spin just with minimal effort. You know, and I rotate them every 5,000 miles. I have a guy at Midas that takes care of all my cars, and he took care of the tire rotation for me twice, and he's about to do it a third time, probably before New Year's. I'll have him take care of this car. I think that's about it on the outside. I'm not going to get into the electronics part under the hood. Like I said, it's very easy for me to get into it. I don't have to like grunt or fold over or suck in my gut to get into this car, and that's about it. I don't have OnStar in this car. I had the trial subscription that came with the vehicle. I think it came for like 6 months or whatever it was, but I didn't renew it. The only thing I kept was the connected services part, which is what allows me to use the My Chevrolet app with the car. So other than that, I would have to, I don't have the SOS or the directions or any of those services through OnStar. I do have the app, and I felt like the app could do most of the stuff that OnStar does for you, you know, everything from finding a charging station to if you lose your car, you can find it, etc., etc. one of the main design gripes that I have, and it really sucks that I didn't bring my fob because I power the car on. Maybe I can do it just by holding the button here. No, it says no remote detected, so it's just going to show us that. You can see I'm at 90% charge, and there's the mileage. I was really hoping that this screen would come on. So one of the issues that I have with this display is that it's tilted too far back. Now, I don't know if you guys know. Let me turn this off so it's not a glaring thing. Excuse the fingerprints. I do have a screen protector on this. It's glass. That was an Amazon find, so if you're interested in that, let me know. I'll look it up and I'll send you a link. But the screen is tilted too far back. If you look at, I'm trying to see if there's a way to kind of show that this whole part is kind of tilted in the wrong direction. It doesn't really matter because I think they've kind of resolved that in some of the newer ones. Also, I'm not a fan of the climate control buttons that run along the bottom of the screen. Especially when you have the reverse cameras on, or if you have the cameras on, the climate controls go away. If you drop the car into reverse, you lose functionality. You can't turn your fans off, up, down. I mean, you can do up, down, but you can't do, recirculate air. You can't change from heat to AC if you have to, or any of the other stuff that's down here on the bottom of the screen. And I think they've also remedied that with a row of static buttons for that stuff. I mean, they could have easily, taken some of this stuff and put it down here or whatever. But the reason I don't like the tilt, the angle of this, is because of the fact that if you're driving and it's close to noon, you can actually see the sky right there. So if I hold the camera where my head is, right there, yeah, you get a lot of glare, a lot of reflection, and you can't control the brightness, really, of this. And this knob does not do it justice when the headlights aren't on. So that's kind of a design flaw. If you look at some of the other cars, higher price cars like the Lexus or the Mercedes, they all have screens that are like perpendicular up and down, and they're recessed. So like this would be the top of the screen. The bottom of the screen would be recessed 2 or 3 inches to where you'd have a little ledge to put stuff in if you needed a pen or something. And then the screen is just inside. So that's kind of an issue, but I've kind of learned to deal with it. I think that's pretty much it. Oh, I also blacked out this bow tie, and this is actually the original gold bow tie is still under here. This is an adhesive that I got from Amazon. It's a really durable, high grade, and it's actually textured too, which I really like. But you can stick this on, and then when you're done with it, you can just peel it off. And it's got like 3M adhesive behind it, and it kind of works. Excuse the dirtiness. I didn't clean the car before I decided to shoot this video. Other than that, climate control rocks in this car. Me being by nature a little bit on the warm side, I typically keep the car around 70, 71 degrees. And then in the summertime, I keep it between 66 and 68, maybe. I work in a data center during the day, so I'm used to 58-degree temperatures, so I like them colder. And I never had an issue with this. It's easy enough to change on the fly. Works out really well. The last thing that I think I really like about this car is the sound system. This does have the Bose system with the subwoofer in the trunk. Wow, you can really go deaf in this car if you crank it up. I have some things, some songs that I listen to insanely loud. You're gonna laugh, but just bear with me. I've been a musician since I was, very young, and one of the things that I really love is pipe organ music. I grew up with it. I did a lot of secular stuff as a kid through high school. I actually took organ lessons in high school, and I became classically trained under a Bach master. And so Johann Sebastian's Bach's music is basically in my head. So when I feel the urge to turn this car into a cathedral, this Bose sound system does it right. And you know what? That's pretty much it. I mean, everything else is like an add-on accessory. Like, I feel like every car should have a forward-facing dash camera. In fact, I think it should be a law that you can't file an insurance claim unless you have cameras. You know, he said, she said, get it out of the courtroom. You know, you need to be able to prove your case, and I feel like that camera has recorded quite a few accidents, and there should also be one on the back window. And it should all just be wired in. It should be an option that you can buy, or, you know, something that you know, gives you peace of mind. Like if somebody, you know, if you're sitting at a red light, somebody puts their car in reverse and slams on the gas and slams into the front of your car, well, they're going to say you ran into them. No, I didn't. They threw their car into reverse and slammed into it, and then you get the he said, she said stuff. So, anyway, I'm pretty sure that's about it. I can't think of anything else. I mean, there's some user interface limitations that I feel like they could resolve with an over-the-air update. You know, more color schemes, more options for the layouts, for the actual speedometer, how this looks, and what kind of information you can see here. Like, I feel like they should show like battery, like more detailed battery information. Maybe temperatures also, to see if your battery's doing well. Better, you know, enhancements when it comes to accelerations and whatnot. More fancy stuff. More stuff that you can do on the torque app, maybe. I don't know. Some, you know, charge values, how much your system is pulling in terms of HVAC. I know it tells you a little bit what the draw is, but that's cumulative. So you can't tell if that's the inverter or if that's the HVAC, but it's cumulative power draw out of, whew, that was hard. That's cumulative, and it doesn't really tell you what's pulling that. So you have to figure out, okay, is it the heat? Yes, no. Okay, is it something else? Yes, no. Is it conditioning? Yes, no. Like, that should be a separate kind of a breakdown that you should be able to put up on one or both of the screens. I've always been a data junkie myself. I love seeing this stuff. I actually have some apps on my iPad that connect to the USB, not the USB, but the Bluetooth OBD2 reader that I can plug in and read the data off of it, and shows battery numbers in real time, temperatures, even acceleration thresholds and stuff like that. It's really cool. I wish that was part of the car, part of the operating system and user interface in the car. These things are cool. I've mentioned them several times. If you have passengers that love to sleep in the car, you can't be without these. I actually thought about getting some for my seat, but then, you know, it passed out at the first red light. So, and I got two of these. Probably going to get another one for that seat back there, especially when, you know, my in-laws are here or I have a full car. At least everybody can enjoy it. I really don't need one, so I don't really care. But, yeah. Outside of that, I can't think of anything else, really. The car is great. Let me just say this again. This car, this Chevy Bolt EV Premier 2020, is a great car. I know I mentioned some pros, some cons, but you have to drive one of these for more than just a 20-minute test drive. There's just no way. If you can get a dealer to, you know, give you one of these for the weekend, or if you can convince the dealer that, hey, let's do a 20-mile test drive, you know, take it to the beach and back, whatever, do it, because you'll get so much more out of the car the more you use it. You know, you'll start understanding its personality, you'll start understanding its needs, its wants, how it likes to be driven, how it needs to be taken care of, and so forth, and so on and so forth. And it really makes the experience, you know, it takes it to a whole nother level. But, you know, there are things that, I absolutely love about this car that I never had before. You know, I've never owned an EV before. This is my first EV, and I'm really glad that I got to experience it because, you know, Tesla came to mind, all the other EVs came to mind. Teslas were very expensive. I mean, now they've come down. No, maybe with the pandemic they're higher in terms of cost, but you know, the standard vehicle price is $41,020 according to the sticker. With all the options, you know, DC fast charging, the extreme infotainment package, driver confidence 2, with all the good stuff, the black bow ties, and the cargo net. Oh yeah, there's a cargo net back there. I gotta tell you, I feel like I finally have a car that's worth the monthly payment that I'm paying for it. You know, the other ones were old or previously used, beaten up, had problems. You know, one of the reasons why I purchased this car was because my TDI was crossing 100,000 miles, and it was time for me to do the timing in that car. And for those who don't know about timing when it comes to diesel engines, you're basically removing the engine, or you're taking half of it apart, and that's labor hours that I didn't want to spend. You know, that's the quote on timing was $18.75, I think, for the labor, and then parts. There was a water pump, some pulleys, and I think 6 bolts that they would have had to replace. That was part of the timing package. And the car was so old that, you know, I didn't know how it was treated before I got it, and I didn't think it was worth the time for them to do it and for me to pay for it, right? Oh, let me show you something, actually, where I got that sticker out of. In fact, I'll put the sticker back where it was. But, yeah, if you guys are interested in seeing this a little bit better, I'll take a picture of it and I'll put it up as a post. One of the things I really like about this backside is both of these seats do fold down. So, you know, it doesn't take much to fold them down. I'm not going to do it because I have these headrests here. But what I wanted to show you is literally this part. So this is the little awning that clips on right here, and it ties to the door here. So you got like a privacy shade for your trunk. But I keep it down here because I typically have the dog taking over this area. But you can see that this goes deep. Like, I got my shopping bags here for reusable stuff. I got some microfiber stuff. These are the floor mats that came with the car, because I got other ones. There's my little brush. I got a jacket down here that I can put on. This is a flower vase carrier. I have this in here so I can put a vase in here for like Mother's Day or something, and I don't have to worry about the flowers spewing water all over my seats or whatnot. But you can see how deep that goes. Like, this goes deep, and down there somewhere beneath all that stuff are all the accessories. You know, the car comes with a level 1 charger. It comes with, obviously, a jack. It comes with all the accessories that, you know, fit in the bottom of that pan. But also the subwoofer is installed in the bottom of that tray. Now, one of the things that I feel the need to point out is if you have an older Bolt EV, like a 17 or 18 model, I've heard horror stories about the infotainment system up here flipping out, like not working, all because water somehow got into the back of that where that subwoofer is, and actually was shorting out some connections that prevented the thing up here from working correctly. And, you know, that's about it. Alright, so there was a little bit more footage after, you know, I said that's about it. But in true Los Angeles fashion, with a GoPro or any other camera, shooting in 4K, it got too hot and it just cut off on me. Basically, the last thing, I think after I said that, I tilted the camera down and I showed the wireless phone charger that was in there, and I explained that, you know, this will fit an iPhone 12 Pro Max without a problem, and I think even the 13. It's a tight fit, but you can take the case off and it'll work just fine. That's about it. Now I think I'm done because I lost the rest of that footage from the camera overheating. There wasn't really anything else that I can remember. This wasn't really scripted. This was more of a heartfelt conversation with you guys, and I wanted to show you guys one more time my car. And you know, I love this thing. You know, the moral of the story is, I've said it several times, and I guess the picture's quite clear that, you know, this is my baby. And what's a little funny here is that there's a gasoline version of the car that I had previously. I had the diesel version of this car, and mine was silver, so it was really weird that that car's there. So, but anyway, my car, and that's my old car that's not mine. I'm showing off somebody else's car, I'm sorry. But in any case, if you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, or you're thinking about buying one of these, you know, feel free to reach out. Comment section down below is the best place to get you know, community input, whatnot. But this car for me has been, and I believe will be, just a great asset to me, to my job, to my company, and to my family. So with that said, I wanted to take a minute right now and from the bottom of my heart, on behalf of my wife Maria, my son Eddie, my dog Duchess, and myself Tom, from the Ellerowski family, I would love to wish you all a very happy Thanksgiving and a blessed holiday season ahead. I don't know if I'm going to get to do another video before the holiday starts up, so I'll leave that here. In the meantime, go down in the comments section, drop a line, let me know what's on your mind, and thank you for watching. Take care.